Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from the host Imperial Dane, featuring today a Monday novice fight. Yes, indeed, the Mondayest, noviest, fightiest of them all. We shall be watching legislation of Solon. Yes, indeed, apparently a Roman senator has appeared, fighting for the Soviet Union of all things, fighting for the 20th Tank Corps, going up against Ignatius G. Riley. Certainly there's no problem in pronouncing names, although they are a bit verbose. Fighting for the Germans, in this case, for the Reich, for the 112th Panzer Brigade. We are immediately seeing the infantry company up. Infantry, in fact, the Grenadier squad out there. Combat engineers heading north, while the conscript squad heading more towards the centre. Decent spread so far. Decent spread. We'll of course have to see how this ultimately though works out. This is going to be the Monday novice fight of the sort of higher kind. We're not going to be seeing, the elementary mistakes, sort of some higher ones. So let's see how this Act 2 turns out. Rushing straight for the fuels already there. We do see that legislation of Solon already has a plan, and it obviously involves something with tanks perhaps, or tank destroyers. Whereas we do see that Ignatius J. Riley is sort of taking a more measured approach, focusing up the centre so far, going for the munitions. And we're also noting here something a bit odd. He's actually going for the sniper right away, which of course rather initially hampers sort of how much troops he has in the field, and of course also is rather placing a lot of his eggs in one basket, since if he's really unfortunate he could easily lose the sniper. And I would certainly not recommend the sniper right as the second unit from your infantry company. At the very least have another unit out before getting the sniper. Soldier there, I would say that's something that could prove to be very problematic for Ignatius J. Riley and his forces in the longer term and even the short term. Conscripts though going in here, going to try and protect the fuel point. Also noting here that the south so far has been completely ignored by both sides, which is definitely unfortunate for both sides. But really something the Soviet player ought to at least have one squad sort of sneaking about, doing some territorial grabbing there. Grenadiers manage to get into the building. We do see a quick hoorah into cover. Good use there of hoorah, by the way. Sniper moving up. Pioneers might want to consider getting out of there. They are low on health. Come on, Ignatius. They can't hold on for much longer. And there we go, the Pioneers on the run, but they might be dead anyways. No. And there we go, an hoorah to try and get the sniper. Another man pops dead as the sniper continues to fire away. Point blank. And there we go, the Scharfschütze is on the run. Molotovs being launched here against the Grenadiers. Ignatius might want to pull them back. They are a bit cut off from every possible angle. Still nothing in the south. I definitely think that again is a bit problematic from either side. None of them are focusing on the south. In particular, the Soviet player ought to take advantage of that to send something down there and thus gain a greater territorial advantage. And so far, Ignatius is already being rather heavily penned in. Sniper, though, ready to move out to the front again. Grenadiers going for the essential munitions again. MG42 arriving as well. Things are certainly looking a bit grim in the beginning. No taking ups. Unlikely another rush with a Molotov. And there we go, sniper fires away, gets poor Yuri. Grenadiers on the way as well. Sniper doing what he can, and we're also seeing here that Ignatius is definitely playing rather cautiously with him, taking no chances. Always retreating if the enemy gets too close, and that's certainly nice to see. Very nice to see. Running into the Molotov, and Boris lights up like a candle. And right here, he should definitely consider getting out of there. His troops are not in a good condition, and of course, German infantry is arriving in ever greater numbers, and that MG42 is definitely not going to be a pleasant surprise. And there we go, squad lost. We noted here that legislation of Solon was a bit too slow in retreating. The squad was already low in health, and not so high in numbers either. So that was a tactical mistake right there by legislation of Solon. We're finally seeing them both moving towards the south. And we're also seeing now that Ignatius J. Riley is beginning to spread out, which could be a bit dangerous. We'll of course have to see how that one works out. A third squad of Grenadiers on the way. So a decent tier 1.
squad is ready.
And yes, we are going to see the Special Rifle Commander likely going to get a counter sniper to try and deal with this German one. So far, though, he's placing them quite nicely behind his frontline troops, instead of having too close to the front line, in which case he could risk losing him in a very unpleasant manner.
Territory secured. Gartenhimmel, it's cold.
Port Star being secured. Finally gaining some ground, finally getting a fuel point, which is definitely not helping either, and we are in fact now seeing some taking up going on as well. MP looks like just we're setting up in the church. Fun fact about the Panzer Brigades, they were rather formed specifically to deal with Soviet spearheads, penetrations and all that, a rather small specific formation, rather high on speed, low on artillery, high on tanks and other armoured things, which meant to quickly overwhelm the Russians and their advance guard, or vanguard, before they could call in reinforcement or anything. And they also largely ended up being used on the Western Front, which rather meant they ran into a lot of problems. Because fighting the Americans is quite different from fighting the Soviets. The conscripts are heading north.
Grenadiers reporting.
We do see that Ignatius is a bit unsure what to do, but seems like he might be sacrificing the south, at least going for some cut-offs. Playing a bit cautiously now. Needs to be careful he doesn't get too passive. And we are seeing the light mechanized company going up.
Grenadiers reporting objective captured.
Blizzard conditions are imminent.
Frozen grenadiers here.
Quick rifle grenade and sniper fire does a lot of damage here to legislation of Solon's conscripts. And there we go, the sniper squad is on the way. More conscripts rushing up, and Ignatius here needs to be careful. He's having the sniper a bit too close to the front line, and he probably should be expecting, you know, a counter sniper. That is not completely unheard of course. And looks like he's not. In fact, he's playing rather loose. And there we go. Sniper dead. That was definitely not well handled. Very, how shall we say, reckless, and not really considerate of the thought that, you know, his opponent might want to kill that sniper. And now we're seeing the dreaded sniper in a scout car combination. Half track is on the way. And losing the northern fuel point once more to Soviet advances. While the Grenadier squad, oh, that's something he has to be careful about, of course. You could easily lose the squad. Panzerfaust and scout car damaged and won't be able to pursue any German troops right away. Flamethrower equipped for his own pioneers, holding out, holding out.
It is ours.
Still not the best looking of situations at the moment for the Germans. And soon we shall have flamethrower versus flamethrower, and already Heinrich bursts into flames. And there go another pioneer. Not really looking good for these flamethrower pioneers. Grenadiers are arriving. Veterans one for the pioneers too. But they need to consider getting out of there. But a rifle grenade ultimately saves the day. Turns the tide. And guards motor. Doctrine has been chosen. As we're seeing the 120mm mortar arriving on the field. No doctrine as of yet though from Ignatius J. Riley. Pioneers need to retreat. I have no idea why he's actually retaining that front line despite having such a poor condition. That was perhaps not so well handled. A usage of the sniper there already. He might in fact risk losing the entire squad if he's not careful. But no. Looks like that was one very lucky lady who managed to escape the wrath of the Wehrmacht. Grenadiers and a half-track, nice combination, although sadly the half-track MG is a bit rubbish. And there we go, heavy mortar pushed away. Bit of attacking up here in the north, the Grenadiers are forced to run. Run, Heinz, they're going to do terrible things to us. Like what? Sing songs! Pioneers still need to be reinforced. He got a bit too quick on the trigger there, but spots in time and gets out of there. Nice move though, and of course troops in a half-track can be used to take points, of course, in that way he ensures he doesn't expose the troops to the unnecessary elements. At least not until it is necessary. So, not a bad move there from Ignatius J. Riley.
Wizard is passing.
Points being
Northern
secured.
Weather is returning.
Conscripts coming in from the north. We are seeing a Panzer Grenadier squad, and these types of Panzer Grenadiers would in fact have been very common in Panzer brigades, although initially the first wave, as the fact the two waves would have been more common. In the second wave they were more likely to be equipped more like regular Panzer Grenadiers, but still there would have been these gentlemen with assault rifles for the Sturmgewehr. Get a little fire. Half-track versus scout car. Snipers moving up again. Heavy mortar firing away. Looks like Lady Station of Solon is launching an assault. But looks like he might lose a full squad of conscripts right there. Lady Station of Solon definitely needs to work on his unit preservation. He's a bit too likely to extend himself and lose track of things, it seems like, because he's already lost another squad of conscripts. In fact, Lady Station of Solon has almost lost every single squad of conscripts he has, which is not really good at all, and rather says something about Lady Station of Solon's unit preservation, which definitely needs improvement. We are seeing a Tankovy battalion command going up, so tanks will likely be next. Half-track not doing too well, having suffered a lot of damage from the 50 calibers. Grenadiers going to do what they can with the heavy mortar. Not sure why those Grenadiers are in the building though, that seems a bit awkward, to put it mildly, and the MG is forced out of the premises as the scout car with its flamethrower appears. Second time to look at Lady Station of Solon, again very short in infantry, very short in everything, again simply too heavy unit losses, not quite considered of, you know, when to retreat, when to hold his ground. Which is definitely an important skill to develop in Company of Heroes and Company of Heroes 2.
We have an isolated sector.
There we go, Panzer Grenadiers suffering horrific deaths. And a pack is also out in the field, so I'm currently taking up a position, dominating the center in case anything might arrive there. Grenadiers need to get away, snipers prove themselves unfriendly. And Grenadiers taking heavy losses, but they do manage to get off a Panzerfaust.
Vehicle marking available.
And we're finally seeing a scout car out for Ignatius J. Riley. I would have expected one earlier to try and deal with the Soviet scout car and perhaps hunt down some Soviets afterwards. At the current stage, it wouldn't even be necessary to upgrade, just right up and shoot with a machine gun.
Comrade, we have the territory.
And there we go, opening up. Engine is damaged, that's even better. Just shoot the rear, and there we go. In fact, he won't even need to upgrade it, just keep hunting it down. And that also means he can be much more effective against infantry, which is definitely what he wants to do. He knows what he's doing. Come on, no, don't get stuck, hunt it down, What are you doing, Ignatius? And then he upgrades us, good lord. He could have gotten that scout car completely without upgrading and thus have it still be good against infantry. That was definitely a waste of a good scout car and a waste of munitions. Because currently, again, I would say the upgraded scout car is pretty much rubbish against infantry. What you want is the unupgraded scout car most of the time. There we go, first tank has arrived. And in fact heading straight in the direction of the German scout car. Which is not likely to be a happy story. And there we go, already one hit. Scout car almost down. Still no real infantry though for Lady Station of Solon. He needs to be careful. Again, he exposes things a bit too much. Oh, Grenadier squad down. Ignatius J. Riley, in that case, did not hold out very well. He wasted the Grenadiers right in front of the T-34. And now losses might be higher. There we go, scout car down. T-34 is on a rampage. The tankists are loose. And getting some guard-draft infantry to do the fighting. Might want to upgrade them with the light machine gun then. Comrade. Looks like also the pack got cleared out. All of a sudden it looks like it's Ignatius J. Riley's time once more to be on the back foot. Also, I think Lady Station of Solon might want to flank. He knows there should be a pack out here, and unless he's assuming that his opponent doesn't know how to play the game at all and doesn't recruit, he probably should also be assuming that it's going to be a better idea to attack from either here or here, not directly head-on with a T-34. But there we go, assault is nonetheless launched, and he's already aware of the pack, so hopefully he will not be moving the T-34 in that direction. Guards, riflemen coming under fire, and we're also noting here a machine gun, a heavy MG42 left behind. He should be recruiting that with some combat engineers. And really that should be his main priority, just going, hey comrades, this would be a good weapon for the socialist people's cause. Yeah, apparently that's not quite what's striking his mind.
Enemy is firing on us. Mortar ready for order. You need something.
Also, we're seeing the weapon support company going up now, which, I mean, that's actually a decent idea, but currently I don't think he quite needs it, of course. I mean, you need something a bit more heavier than T-34s then to deal with tanks, and of course field guns will certainly serve that. But at the same time, I really think his main priority ought to be recruiting that MG42, putting it to work against the Fritzes, and, you know, just doing his best. Instead, he's getting a Maxim instead of the MG42, which is also considerably more expensive. So that's definitely not well handled there by legislation of Solon. That's pretty much just failing to take opportunity of a good, take good use of an opportunity to really do some damage to the Germans, which is quite a shame. We see the scout car, by the way, reaching Veteran G2. That's definitely going to be a problem. Heavy mortar fires away, not really a lot of kills on it. T-34 also remains rather passive, which is also something you don't want to have. And he's actually ignoring the MG42. Why, Solon? Why?
Enemy forces are neutralizing a sector.
Just because you might have actually had the Maxim on your time. Not very good joke on the age of the Maxim gun, but still,
Suffering vehicle losses.
doesn't mean you should be ignoring the MG42. That's really a missed opportunity. And again,
T-34.
the T-34 is not a passive tank, it's not a defensive tank, it's pretty much what you'd call, as opposed to cavalry tank, because it was rather based on times and thoughts back then, which rather had some tanks being very much reliant on speed and high explosive shells to shoot up enemy defensive lines. It was not really built for taking on tanks, surprisingly enough, but still, get it moving, do something with it. Also, right here, you really shouldn't be hanging about in a house like outside a house like that with a flamethrower inside it. Come on, the MG42 man. And the church actually needs to be abandoned before the pack knocks it out.
T-34. Crude loaded and ready.
Also, I would actually suggest something here, and that's actually pop some smoke and then gets the T-34 behind the pack 40 and clears it out.
In contact with enemy
That would actually be a really good idea. But apparently he's going to try and line the snipers, get them out in the open.
Conditions clear.
Come on, Solon. It's tactics. Please get out of the church. I mean, right here, legislation of Solon is really just committing a plethora of mistakes. Just failing to capitalize on things, failing to use things fully, again. Not using smoke when, again, that could mean you've got to go behind the T-34. I mean, the pack with his T-34 cleared out. And in that case, well, Ignatius J. Riley would actually be in a lot of problems because there's absolutely nothing covering the flank. And in fact, all of his tank defenses are relying pretty much on this at the moment. So that's really a huge missed opportunity right there. Finally moving up the T-34, but again, it really shouldn't have been that passive for such a long time. Again, that's just having resources stand about doing nothing. Ostwind Flakpanzer arrives. Interesting choice, considering there's a T-34 in the field. On the other hand, of course, you can do a lot of damage to the infantry. Things look a bit tricky. Ignatius needs to keep moving, needs to keep taking territory. He's also running out of victory point, which is not really good either. Panzer gunner is moving in. Ostwind Flakpanzer arrives. Bundle grenades. Ostwind really needs to be careful about the T-34. Maxim suppressing. Garten, he also needs to open up with that Flak Panzer. Don't. Careful, careful.
Mortar ready for order.
And where are the field guns to support the T-34? In fact, legislation of Solon is of course committing the mistake now of floating out of resources. Also, popping units into a house that is in such a poor condition when there are heavy mortars and other things firing at you is not really a good idea either. Light machine gun dropped. T-34 needs to get out of there. Come on, legislation. Come on, Solon. There we go. Panzer is taking a nasty loss again. The T-34 is quite nice against infantry. But again, get them out of there. Oh, T-34 poorly handled. Clearly, Solon does not quite know how to handle armor. And there we go. Building collapse. Also losing the Maxim. That was not good at all right there for Solon. Again, a lot of units wasted. Absolutely huge chance to, you know, do some damage and all such things. I mean, just completely wasted right there by Solon. And again, you know, it's all about the ability to also see, you know, chances and take them. And clearly Solon's a bit lacking on that. You need some drive, in particular as the Soviets. You need some offensive drive. Push forwards. Seek out weak spots, do some damage. Instead, what he did was he gave Ignatius J. Riley plenty of time to rebuild, recoordinate and counterattack. We're also seeing the assault support doctrine up. He could definitely benefit from getting the artillery field officer out to, for example, boost his nearby infantry, call in smoke in case of something nasty, and who knows what else. Orbital blitzers could be a choice, strafing rounds, Tiger tanks, fragmentation bombs. And there we go, our combat engineer squad wiped out. The Ostwind is on a rampage with its 37mm flak. The flak 41, I believe it was called. Pioneers now need to be the ones to retreat as another T-34 arrives. Come on, Ignatius. That was awfully close.
Opponents are seizing a sector. We have new units.
There we go, the second Panzerabwehrkanone arrives.
Must stiffen our resolve. We are down to 75 points.
The second Panzerabwehrkanone.
Blizzard conditions are imminent.
Not really that the Panzer Brigade would have had those. Again, it was much more mobile force. Things like this would not have been very common. They would have had tank destroyers in a larger number to sort of make up for that. Again, a Panzer Brigade was a very, very mobile force.
Our sector.
Very much based around speed and firepower. Didn't really have the ability to hold ground as well, though. Panzer Grenadiers here, they need to retreat, Ignatius! Don't overextend units like that! And there you go, went down to the snipers. Late station Solon certainly handling his sniper well. Guards infantry here, grenading the Grenadiers. Causing some losses. Austin Flak Panzer once more rolls in. Heavy mortar fire going in. T-34 once more back to doing nothing. I mean, he could easily, you know, be pushing up here in the north or doing a bit of harassment in the south, something. But again, Solon is simply too passive with his tanks. On the other hand, of course, I mean, I'm not saying he should commit to huge battles with them, and of course, building up the larger force ought to be his primary target, which looks like might be what's happening now. Right now, of course, there's a good opportunity to knock out the Ostwind in the north that he rolls in both T-34s. I mean, really, why he isn't doing it is beyond me. Come on, Solon, attack! Attack with both T-34s. You want to overwhelm, you want to destroy. That's rather Soviet doctrine.
Enemy infantry dead.
But no, Solon once more gets passive, and that rather seems to be his major problem. Again, as the Soviets' passiveness is one of your sort of major sins. One thing that can really end up biting you in the arse. And that's rather what's happening right now for legislation of Solon. Again, he's just being passive. He's not taking opportunity, he's not pushing. And again, now he's in fact allowing this Ostwind flak panzer to get the devil out of there. Which really should not have been allowed to happen. And that's definitely going to likely bite him in the arse later on. So it's not just, of course, of Ostwind getting away. It was also a chance for his T-34 to gain some experience, to get better and get more veterancy. And really, one of his primary targets should be, you know, preserving them, not just, you know, because you know, you want to preserve your units, but to get them up to veterancy too, which is where T-34s really begin shining as they gain a lot more damage that way. So in that sense, Solon's passiveness is hurting him not just in one way, but in several ways. Again, he also needs to focus up his tanks. They're not panzers. And another scout car arriving there for Solon. There we go, Panzer is sneaking in, getting a bit hammered there. Also, of course, Ignatius is being a bit more passive, but at least he's a bit got an excuse, and he's still attacking. And there we go, squad of Panzer is down. Again, T-34 is quite nasty against German infantry. And I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. So what is the current situation once more? Ignatius J. Riley is a bit on the back foot. He's a bit contained. He's lacking something a bit more proper to assault with, although he's got plenty of sort of decent forces. He's a bit lacking in number, and he's also lacking in some offensive weaponry. His flak panzer can easily be contained if Solon gets it together. And so can the infantry. His only real challenge is sort of bringing up the packs to support any advance in hope for all that is sacred for Germany, that the T-34s don't flank, which is going to be a bit tricky. He's going to either need a Stuttgart or some Stugs out on a Panzer IV or something else. He should also definitely consider upgrading at least one Grenadier Corps with some light machine guns to increase their firepower as well. Otherwise, it's simply not going to cut it. For Solon, it's about keeping up the pressure. It's also about mining again. Mining is incredibly important. It is such an overlooked part for novices. They really don't think of mines as much, but again, mines, if well placed, can make a huge difference. They can mean a tank all of a sudden is a much easier target as its engine gets damaged. It can mean a squad gets either incapacitated or completely wiped out. It can also, of course, serve as an early warning in some cases as well. So in that sense, a mine, several mines in fact, can all of a sudden stop full-on assaults going into something much more cautious, perhaps even contained completely. So again, mines are quite important. And in particular for the Soviets, they're also quite cheap and quite effective for that price. So again, as a Soviet player, one of the things you want to defend with is mines. And of course, Solon should also be taking care of his mortar. In that case, he's actually going to need some fire pits, probably because currently it's freezing to death, which is not really working out well, as we're already seeing some of them are dropping off a bit dead. So in that sense, Solon needs to get things a bit together again. He also needs some field guns up himself. He needs to steal a pack, and he also needs to begin preserving his arm a bit better. And he needs more infantry. He's currently very lacking in infantry. He needs either more guards infantry or more conscripts, but he needs more infantry, and he needs to steal the MG42 and turn it against his enemy. I mean, there's really a lot of things here that Solon is lacking, which is rather making it much more difficult for him than it should be, and it definitely gives Ignatius J. Riley a good chance of getting back into the fight. But let us return to it, in fact. Austrian flak panzer, by the way, needing the repairs. No idea why he's actually insisting on sending a pack like that. That seems quite frankly silly. And could in fact result in the Soviets getting the crew and stealing it. But no, looks like these are some of the most incredibly lucky pack gunners ever. And they escape. But that was bleeding close, and we are in fact seeing a Panzerkampfwagen on the way. Grenadiers moving up with no light machine gun. And coming under immediate fire. Ostwind arrives. And of course field guns should also be necessary for Solon to help deal with the armor a bit more sensibly. Of course also give him some artillery. But right there the Guards infantry is coming under intense fire. The squad is getting wiped out, and there is gone. Ostwind just tore through it. Mortar just needs to get away. I have no idea why insisting keeping up that close when it's close to freezing to death. And the T-34 is also too close. We're seeing the pack moving up. Come on, Solon. There is no support for your tank. Soviet tanks were built more for support, in particular the T-34. No, dear. And that seems to have been a slight misclick. Panzer's moving up, and we could see the mortar go down. We could see the mortar go down. And it happened. At the same time, looks like the scout car went down, the snipers went down, the T-34 made it out of the battle. Was really poorly handled by Solon. He's not making proper attacks anywhere, and is he actually trying to destroy his own mortar? He is. He wants to ensure the heavy mortar doesn't fall into his opponent's hands, but it really shouldn't have been that close in the first place. So that's just wasting one of its most valuable resources alongside the veteran snipers. I mean, really, Solon needs to work on his unit preservation and his tactical perception of things. He's just wasting so many troops and so much equipment all of a sudden. It's not really good, and again, it's just giving Ignatius J. Riley every chance of getting back into the game. In particular, when he's this close to getting knocked out, it's all of a sudden this from Solon. It's quite unbelievable.
Yes?
the same time, though, he's moving his Panzer IV a bit ahead. If Solon locks it on with both T-34s and calls in some marked target as well, he could knock it out. He could knock it out. But again, marked target needs to be used, and he's gone for guards motor though, so he has it. Come on, use it, Solon, use it. No, he's ramming in. Ah, why? Why would you do that? You should have just keep shooting at it. You could have knocked it out. You had a nice tank at almost full health and you wasted it. Solon, you utter prat. I mean, really, I normally try to be more friendly towards novices rather than my previous, where it could be a bit more harsh, but still, that was just absolutely dumb. I mean, really, he had a tank almost at full health. The Panzer IV was close to death, and he's just rams in his almost full health tank, ensures it can't be used, and ends up wasting an ult, and he didn't use marked target either. I'm pretty sure he has it. And the munitions for it, in fact, he has. Had he used marked vehicle, and I'll just pop back again, he could have got that Panzer IV easily without losing any of those T-34s. That was just a huge waste. Such a waste. I mean, he just threw away 2 tanks. Really, that should not have happened at all. That really is the hallmark of the novice. He never quite fully understands the abilities he has available to him. He only focuses on the unit, and then he doesn't quite fully understand them either. It's a very narrow view, and in fact, he's down to 2 units. Solon is down to 2 units. He's got nothing left because he can't preserve it. Again, Solon desperately needs to work on his unit preservation. And he also needs to know how to use T-34s. Again, if well proper handled, they can actually do a lot of damage. I mean, he was close to getting a Panzer IV right there, but again, if not, he won't do anything. And again, that's rather a problem. In particular, when he didn't even use the abilities that could easily have swung this fight into his favour, allowed him to get away with 2 T-34s, a dead Panzer IV, which could have even gotten him closer to getting a veteran 2 T-34. Really, really bad. That was absolutely a huge fumble right there from Solon, and could easily have cost him the game. T-34 being rushed south with all infantry and support, which again is not an awful lot. Though we are seeing fresh conscripts now being rushed out to the field. With 3 grenadiers versus the Guards infantry. Not sure why Ignatius is rushing in like that. And again, T-34 standing about, not doing nothing, not supporting, not trying to do some damage. He needs to reconnect, and we're already seeing the grenadiers going in to try and deal with that, and sure it does not happen. Panzer is moving up, Pack moving up. T-34 moving up, could try and actually flank this. Ostwind has not been repaired, by the way. I have no idea why Ignatius is not repairing his flak Panzer. Guards infantry combating here, taking heavy losses, grenades getting locked. Oh, that was a nasty grenade. T-34 flanking the Pack, that's actually good, that's actually good. Conscripts though, getting suppressed. Getting murdered there by the Ostwind, but there we go. And there we go. Damaged engine. T-34 has a chance here of really doing some damage, knocking out conscripts, need to retreat. And we also see that Ignatius actually recruited 7042, which is something that Solon ought to have been doing. Again, it's been in his side so long. It's absolutely mind-boggling why he didn't do it. And again, if Ignatius had repaired his flak Panzer, it might even been able to reach veteran 2 here. But again, it's not happening. So many, mistakes in that sense. Flak Panzer blown up, and it's time to pop back to Solon. Now the MG42 is next. Troops are reinforcing, and again he needs to rebuild his force. He also needs to take away some equipment. For example, now there's a Pack right within reach. He should take it, turning against his opponent's path. I mean, come on, Solon. Do you want to win? Or are you secretly a counter-revolutionary, in which case your family shall be deported to Siberia? I mean, at this stage, Solon's going to be declared an enemy of the Soviet peoples. Another Panzerkampfwagen 4 rolls out. Again, second stage Panzer brigades would have had them. since they couldn't get as many Panthers as they otherwise would have. And in fact, the first series Panther brigades were heavily equipped with Panthers, everything that was new and fancy. Second series, not so much, but they did have some more formations to them to make them slightly more effective overall. Conscripts though rushing the Panzer up their Kanone, might even get it, there we go. Another pack, and again he leaves it. He doesn't recruit it. Good lord! Take them, man, take them! Alongside the MG42s, everything else. There's so much equipment that he could take from Ignatius, but he doesn't. I mean, that's really just remarkable. And again, another hallmark of the novice again. Fire pit should also be built. I mean, his troops are freezing to the death. He's not even caring about the cold. Again, clearly here Solon has absolutely no concept of unit preservation. I mean, he's just losing them left and right without doing much to preserve them, which is really, really bad. He clearly doesn't think much about them at all. And again, that's something he needs to work on, because he's wasting a lot of opportunities to get some good troops. I mean, he's barely got any veteran troops at all compared to Ignatius. Lots of anti-tank grenades. He doesn't have munitions for marked vehicle now, of course. Conscripts need to get out of there, but no, they're being lost as well. Again, Solon keeps on wasting troops. A T-70 tank now arriving, a bit late for that, I think. T-34 needs to get out of there. I have no idea why he insists on keeping that close. Come on, Solon.
Enemy forces capturing supply sector.
Come on. And there we go, ramming in, losing the T-34 in the process. Again, Solon clearly not having an idea of how the T-34 works or how to use it. A major mistake. Again, he's basically losing a lot of T-34s, even in a situation where he could easily have saved things. It's certainly making things easy for the Germans, that's for sure. Another T-34 on the way, at least he's consistent. Fuel cash down, but again, Solon just continues to have so few units left. In fact, there's so little to do with them at the moment, I'm going to speed things up a bit. Just to ensure we have something to watch. Panzer is moving up, Molotov poorly lobbed. And bundle grenade wiping out several of the members. Going for the victory points again. If he does rush for these 2 points right now, he might actually stand a chance, but no, in fact, he retreats. It really seems like Solon has no clear idea of what he is actually supposed to do. Because again, had he just focused on holding down the victory points right now, he could probably win this within seconds. But there's clearly no clear idea within his head of how to do that. And keep the T-34 out of range of the Panzerfaust, but that's not quite succeeding either. Grenadier squad though getting nicely almost wiped out there. Munitions cash down, another Panzer arriving. Still floating out of resources. T-34 needs to be pulled back. Come on, Solon. T-70 sitting out on a rampage here behind enemy lines. That could work out. As once more we do see that he's actually gaining some ground again. Ignatius has suffered. He's not always popping so many units into that building. Pack moving up. That's definitely going to be a problem. More units arriving. And that sense, I mean, Ignatius is also a bit too passive at times, not pushing forwards hard enough, which allows late station of Solon to get back into the fight much easier as well. Buttoning up the Panzer IV, allowing the T-34 time to escape. That's nice. Panzergun is moving up. Companies covering with actual fire. Field gun actually on the way. That's nice. That's good. Troops here need to get away though before the Pioneers and the Panzerkampfpanzer arrives, in which case they'll be likely to be turned into mush. Come on, Solon. Again, unit preservation. Unit preservation. But again, that seems to be the last thing on his mind. Field gun, though, has arrived. But he's likely going to lose that T-34, which just reached Veterans 1, which is a shame. So much in this fight so far. There we go, blitzkrieg in. But he's blitzkrieging straight into the base of Solon, which is not really what I'd suggest. And then he parks it right in front of the field gun, which is not really what I'd describe as an awfully bright idea either. In that sense, Ignatius didn't really think ahead, and now in fact he's handing over Panzer IV potentially to his opponent. In fact, if this gets abandoned, I mean, that could very well be the moment that Solon gets back, but luckily that did not happen. But it could have happened, in which case Solon would have been unable to prevent it from being captured by his opponent. So that was actually an incredibly daft move, which ended up not biting Ignatius in the arse this time around, but it definitely could have.
We are awaiting orders.
Panzer IV trying to escape, going to move straight into the line of sight, into the point where the field gun can actually see it. More guards infantry arriving, and there we go, field gun gets it. Panzer IV thought itself safe and got blown up. What a shame. Points being taken. T-70 ready again, and we see the 20th Tank Corps moving ahead, guards infantry and all other sorts of things being pushed ahead. And clearly, I mean, Ignatius J. Riley can't hold most of the map either, but the way that Solon is currently progressing is rather going to give him the best chance of actually doing it. T-70 needs to be careful he doesn't get blasted by the Panzerabwehrkanone. And the pack here needs to be careful he doesn't get flanked. In fact, that might happen right now. Don't stop up, don't stop up, don't stop up! Panzer fouls it, but still gets the pack crew. Well done, well done. Still, he should have recruited some of those packs earlier up. And that seems to be a problem with both players. They're not very good at accruing equipment left behind or even taking it up, which is generally something you ought to be trying to do, or at least wreck it so the opponent can't pick it up. Popping back to Ignatius J. Riley, who's a bit limited, and he's in fact not using his doctrine at all. I mean, no officers, no trucks, no strafing rounds, no Tiger tank, no fragmentation bombs. I mean, really, why would you go for a doctrine and then not use it at all? And there we go, actually recruiting the pack, but at that stage a bit too late and wrecked. So that was basically a waste of an entire squad right there from Ignatius J. Riley. Not really well considered. We're seeing more Panzer Grenadiers being spammed out. We're seeing another Panzer IV. In that sense, of course, Ignatius J. Riley might have benefited more from a few Stooks to provide fire support for his infantry, covering some of the approaches with the higher range and higher rate of fire. People do tend to forget that about the Stook. And there we go, T-70 light tank is down.
We have been assigned fresh Panzer Grenadiers.
Yes?
Panzer Grenadiers moving out.
Make sure it's knocked out. Pioneers ready for anything.
Panzer IV trying to do what it can. Field gun moving up, but needs to be careful. It's getting too close. It's getting too close. What are you doing, Solon? Oh, that was just poorly conceived. As poorly conceived can be. And there we go, the field gun got wiped out. Not really well considered at all right there by Solon. Panzer's moving in to clear up the remnants. And another heavy mortar has now arrived all of a sudden when it's not necessarily the... Oh... Another guard squad down.
Grenadiers.
This is not working out well at all. No light machine gun still for these veterans, the 3 Grenadiers, and they would really benefit from it, by the way.
Our territory.
We are ready! Grenade!
Veterans 2 guardsmen close to veterans 3, by the way. Panzer IV moving up, but it's heavily damaged, but there's nothing actually really damaging except the anti-tank rifles equipment on the guards Riflemen. Ooh, rifle grenade there just did a lot of damage to the guardsmen. But they're still fighting. And there we go. Veteran TV, Veteran TV, Pack 40 up here has not been recruited either. Just so many anti-tank guns not being used at all.
Standing by.
Unbelievable. And now going for a mechanized armor company. Come on, Solon, you can do better than that. Conscripts gauging the grenadiers. Anti-tank grenade. He could try and recruit the pack right now, though of course he might lose the squad. Still going to do it now. Retreat. Solon retreat. And the heavy mortar got cleared up by a Panzer Grenadier squad. Wow. That's right. Retreat the conscripts. Solon. Again, Solon and unit preservation doesn't really seem to go well together. And looks like he's in fact stealing the heavy mortar with the Panzer Grenadiers. Devilish work. That definitely could have gone better for Solon. Then again, overall this fight could have gone a lot better.
Territory taken.
Spinning things up a bit again. Simply because of the heat and because again the fan interferes, and it's either having the fan running, have some people complain, or having none complain but not having the fan, in which case I get overheated.
Our renovated HQ is ready and heavy tanks are now available.
A Veteran 3 Guard Squad, I suppose that could prove to be some sort of salvation, but it's going to be very close, and again he's still going to have to focus on the victory points, which are now ticking down for him incredibly fast as well. Second points. Panzer IV being repaired up there. Field gun bombarding, almost wiping out the Guard Squad in fact.
Our opponents are seizing the sector.
Now of course the field gun might get wiped out itself. There we go, he finally takes a pack, finally, but right when there's no tanks nearby and there's Panzer Grenadiers. I mean really, Solon. Priorities, 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 and you know, think of the situation. That really wasn't well thought out by Solon, which could largely describe most of his play at the moment. And of course now he's got a heavy mortar bombarding him in return. Panzer Grenadiers charging right into the combat engineers. Might get the heavy mortar though. Looks like they already got 2 kills. And he's charging an SU-85 straight at the Panzer. What are you doing, Solon? Do you even know how to use a tank destroyer? You're actually giving the Panzer IV an advantage. Good lord. That really says something. When you actually end up losing what looks like losing an SU-85 to a Panzer IV in a straight up fight. Yeah. That was just a huge waste right there by Solon. And I think rather nicer sort of explains everything. Veteran 2 for the Panzer IV, armoured skirts up. Grenade, which all very close to clearing out the Pioneers. In fact, the squad gets wiped out, a tragic loss. And in fact, the only Pioneer squad left. Spinning things up again. And at least he's protecting the victory points against Riley here. Knows that he's very close to defeat. Again, if he loses several points, it's good night. And a T-34 really doesn't stand much of a chance in a head-on fight against a Panzer IV. Nevertheless, a Veteran T2 Panzer IV. Oh! Oh dear, he got his own squad wiped out. Ow, and there we go, game over. A loss for the 20th Tank Corps, for the Soviet Union, a victory for the Reich and the Panzer Brigade, although rather close at several stages, but ultimately the considerable mistakes that Solon made, which rather resulted in high unit attrition, which basically meant he barely had any veteran units most of the time. Also basically just really couldn't read the fight several times. I mean, he would just, rush in tanks, get them lost. He didn't use his doctrinal abilities very much, like marked vehicle. And again, this engagement right here said a lot about him, that including the H-85 rushing in and actually getting knocked out by a Panzer IV also says a lot about his fighting. He's not really competent with tanks and he needs to work on it. But again, 2 T-34s versus a Panzer IV should have been a shooting, in particular with marked target. Instead, he takes the most healthy tank and immediately puts it out of the fight. That was really, really, really wasteful right there by Solon. And I mean, that rather describes him all in all wasteful. Lots of units just wasted, not preserved, not pulled back in time, put into situations where they shouldn't have been, not kept properly warm either. In that sense, Solon basically ended up crippling himself. And of course, his passive play several times as well didn't help him. Ignatius also certainly played passive, but he did put a bit more aggression into it, and he also preserved his units much better, which ultimately helped him through the fight. His packs could have been placed a bit better as well at times, and of course he could have been recruiting some vehicles, and of course at least he did recruit some stuff, which was also where Solon really struggled. He never took packs, he never took machine guns, which could really have boosted his forces and got him quite a headache right ready for Ignatius. So there's some problems there as well. In that sense, of course, Ignatius might have done a bit better with repairing his tanks, keeping them in working condition, more pioneers, perhaps some Stooks. So there you go. Hope you learned something from this fight. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe, tell your friends. If you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own, provide some feedback in the comments. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.